Hey everyone. So right now I'm stuck in a little bit of a rut. It's been one of those months where I've just been neck deep in work. Honestly, it's probably been closer to 2 months where I've just been snowed under with work in my job, and it's left me very little time to focus on other things that I really want to focus on because I've had to work longer hours, and when I do finish work, I'm just too exhausted to actually put energy into anything else. So whilst I've been battling to keep my head above the surface, it has been very apparent that this isn't really what I want to do. And I think these sorts of times often can act like a catalyst for making some positive changes in your life, because you're more incentivized to make changes when things are going quite badly rather than when things are just going okay. One of my favorite quotes from Tim Ferriss's The 4 Hour Work Week is, "Someday is a disease that will take your dreams to the grave with you." And I think the main takeaway from it is just to say that if you keep putting things off, then you're never actually going to do them, and you're essentially going to be left quite regretful one day. So I think these negative times, like the one I'm going through right now, where I'm just so focused on work that I'm really feeling under pressure and really feeling like I need to change, is going to be really important for actually making something positive happen, like making these YouTube videos again. I realized that I needed structure and some goals to help me keep on track. For instance, this morning I was meant to be recording this video and I was like so close to not doing it because I was like, oh, I've had such a long week, I'm going to just leave it for tomorrow or leave it for later in the day, and I know if I do that I'm not going to do it, and I know that I'll regret it at some point. So here I'm filming the video to try and meet my goals of making enough YouTube videos this month. I also realized that I needed some structure and some purpose for what I want to do going forward, and I luckily stumbled across a video from YouTuber and writer Dan Koe, some of you might know him, that described just such a framework. So it was actually perfect timing, perhaps the YouTube algorithm working some magic there. And the title of the video was "Disappear and Come Back Unrecognizable: 12 Rules to Change Your Life." And during the video he talks about just a framework and like 12 steps essentially that you need to run through when you're trying to make any sort of long-term changes to your life, and how to set your goals, how to envision what you want, and how to back that up with accumulating more and more learning as you go. So I wanted to test that out, and I wanted this video to just be about how I'm going, like talking through the 12 steps and talking about roughly how I'm going to be going about doing that. The first section is all about getting understanding of what you want and getting really clear on the direction you want to be heading as well as the direction you don't want to be heading. First rule that he proposes is anti-vision. So this is really becoming really aware of what you don't want in your life and helping you and when you get clear on that, it's all about really steering clear of those things and really viewing anything that comes under that anti-vision as a distraction. So what tasks do you not want to do? Who do you not want to be? What possessions do you not want to have? What responsibilities do you want to avoid having? All these sorts of things are really good things to give you an initial thing to avoid, but that can also steer you towards something that you want to do. For example, some of the things I came up with were working late frequently, long working hours, sacrificing time on doing things that I don't think are important or are not what I want to be doing in the long run, living far away from friends and family, and feeling inadequate about my body or like physically. So generally just not feeling good about myself or working on projects and tasks that I don't like. And often getting clear on these types of things can really help you move, it helps you to cut out some distractions and move towards and know exactly where you want to move towards in terms of things you do want to focus on. The second step is vision. So now that we have a clear picture of some of the things we don't want, it gives us a bit of a better idea on things that we might want or do want. And it's important to remember that these things are going to change over time. Obviously, you don't know everything that you don't want to do. It's a thing that's going to constantly grow and change as you experience new things. So it's fine to like continuously adapt this as weeks, months and years go by. So you want to think about things that, what are you curious about? What excites you? What things do you want to learn about? And what things do you want to do? Some of the things that I wrote down, they were quite high level, at this point, but these were the things that I came up with on the spot. Fulfillment in an interesting job, working hours that suit me personally, helping people, becoming extremely skilled in a craft, having the time and freedom to pursue things that interest me and sate my curiosity. And some of these things were obviously directly informed by what I wrote down in the anti-vision section. So you can see how they're linked directly, and it can probably give you more ideas as to what you want to go towards in your vision, and it might inform later sections as well. So the third step is your mission. And your mission is the most important thing in your life. It's something that you desperately want to achieve and is more important than anything else in your life. This actually for me was something that I really struggled to come up with, and I don't think I have a good answer for. And I think this is something you may not know right now, that if you're like me, and it's going to be something that is going to be like a continuous thing that you work towards and that you are learning about. It's going to be something, it's going to be like a statue. You're not going to have a really clean statue when you start working on it. You're going to have a slab of marble and you're going to have to chisel away at it until it becomes clearer to you. So that was the first 3 steps, which was sort of all about understanding and clarity. The next 3 or 4 steps is all about planning and taking action towards getting there. So the next step, step number 4, or rule number 4, is standards. Having and setting standards for yourself is what is really going to keep you on track, because if you have high standards for yourself and you drop below those standards, you're going to do something to correct them. Having low standards for yourself is a way to really lull yourself into a sense of security and fall short of your vision and your goals and your mission. So the example that Dan uses in his video is if you're happy and content to have $10 in your bank account, then you're going to be happy having quite a small amount of money. But if your like long-term goals are to have certain things like a big house or car, fancy cars or whatever, having that in your only $10 or £10 in your bank account is going to really hold you back, and those low standards are going to mean that you don't meet your goals. I myself haven't really written anything down for the standards yet. It's again something that's going to be linked in with this next step, which is step 5 or rule 5, which is goals, and having goals for yourself to meet, to achieve your mission and to achieve what the vision that you want to have. In his video, Dan outlines that there's sort of 2 types of goals really, and that's your sort of big long-term goals and your short-term goals, which serve 2 different sort of purposes. So your big long-term ones are more for giving you direction, so it's more they're geared towards your vision of where you want to be, sort of. They're geared towards your mission, how you want to get to. It's a place where you want to get to. Whereas your short-term goals are sort of like your weekly or everyday tasks that are going to like slowly chip away and get you closer towards those long-term goals. It's quite important to be flexible with your long-term goals to some degree, and quite rigid in doing your short-term goals, because your short-term goals are obviously the ones that are going to move you towards your long-term goal if you do them like day in, day out, week in, week out. For me personally, that's things like writing blog articles. You can check out my blog, I'll leave a link to it in the description. And for me, it's also like making the YouTube videos and making sure I'm doing that regularly, otherwise it's all too easy to slip into the habit of putting it off, like I almost did this morning. If you want an example of my sort of long-term and short-term goals, I use YouTube as an example. An example of like a 5-year goal is to have like 500 videos posted on YouTube, which is pretty mad to think about. And that will be somewhat flexible, but that's going to give me good direction. It gives me an idea of what I need to do. So then if we bring that back to like a 1-year goal, my 1-year goal would be to have like 100 videos on YouTube. So this time next year, I want to have 100 videos on YouTube, which sounds a bit mad, but yeah, I'm gonna have to work hard to do that. And then you can keep bringing that back. So like 6-month target, 1-month target, so 1 month, maybe to have like 5 to 6 videos. So by the end of June, I want to have done 6 videos, which is going to be tough work considering there's only 3 weeks left, but let's do it. So my 1 week and day goals are closer. So my 1 week goal is to have this video up on YouTube. And then my daily tasks and daily goals is to record this today. And then tomorrow it's going to be to edit and publish this video. So you can see how those long-term goals, you can really reverse engineer them into your smaller goals, and it makes it really clear as to what you need to do and get to that target. And it's going to give you something to work towards every day or every week. To achieve these sort of goals, your long-term goals, you really want projects to work on. So obviously my long-term goal with the YouTube thing is to have 500 videos on YouTube after 5 years. And how I'm going to do that is break that down into projects of maybe like 6 videos at a time or 1 video at a time. And each video is going to be my project, or each smaller goal within that larger goal of 500 videos is going to be a project. So I'm going to project. So by the end of 2024, I want 25 videos roughly on YouTube. And then by summer next year, I want it to be closer to 100. So it's going to be hard work. And one thing I am doing is making my goals really measurable and really only dependent on things that I can control rather than external. I think one trap a lot of people starting YouTube channels probably fall into is focusing on things like subscriber count, likes, click-through rates and things that are totally out of your control. Obviously, the better videos you make, the more likely you are to get those things, but you can't actually control who clicks on your videos, who subscribes, and all the rest of it. So my goals are focused purely on things that I can control, such as how many videos I'm making, how many articles I'm publishing, and how often I'm publishing those things. So those are things completely within my control, and focusing on those numbers rather than external numbers is going to be a much healthier way of measuring my progress, and going to be a lot more fulfilling to me knowing that I hit these goals that I can control and do myself. And last thing on the project side of things is I think it's really important to be able to like track and manage your tasks, especially for me. If I don't have something planned and sort of written down, I can really struggle to follow through with it. So I personally use Notion, and the main thing I use for tracking like projects and tasks is a template that Thomas Frank actually uploaded. I think it's called Ultimate. Let me just check. Chat amongst yourselves. Yes. So it's Thomas Frank. He has a website where he teaches Notion and things like that. So if you're interested in Notion, I would check his website out. And his template that I use for managing my projects and tasks is called his Ultimate Tasks template. And that's just a task manager type dashboard thing that you can get on Notion, and you can create projects and make tasks and subtasks on these projects. And it's a really handy way for like mapping deadlines and mapping your day-to-day goings on. So we've talked through the first 6 rules, which are all really easy to understand and really quite concrete and things you can easily deliver on immediately. The next 6 steps are a little bit more, they're still essential, but they're less direct in the way that I would approach them now. They're not things that I'm writing down a whole lot about at the moment. This is going to be things that I'm probably going to experiment with and iterate as I go through each project. And it's going to be really specific to each project and each goal. They're really more like supporting tasks that, whilst they're still essential, don't contribute directly to your project. They're more just supplementary. So rule number 7 is education. As you're going through, you obviously are going to be learning a lot of new skills, and are you going to need to learn a lot of new skills to get to where you want to be. Learning new skills is crucial for getting to where you want to be, or so Dan Koe says, and I'm prone to believe him at this point. For example, I need to learn video editing, I need to learn to get better at writing, I need to learn to speak to the camera, which, as you can tell, I'm kind of crap at the moment. But yeah, I need to learn about all these things as I go along. Rule number 8 is limitations. And knowing and setting limitations for your goals is important for giving yourself boundaries that you know you don't want to cross. So essentially, it's things like, what are you not willing to give up in pursuit of your goals? So is there a secondary hobby that you really don't want to give up? Or do you not want to give up spending a certain amount of time every day with your family? Or do you not want to give up your day job in pursuit of a hobby like YouTube? There's certain things that is going to really vary a lot person to person. Rule number 9 is levers. Levers are just a sort of day-to-day tasks that are going to move you towards your goal. It's like really stock standard stuff that you need to do every day in order to get there. So it ties in quite heavily with goals, or my projects that I talked about during the goals and projects section. So it's things like just writing every day, editing videos, recording videos, like these things, like the day-to-day tasks that aren't necessarily linked to the overall goal itself, but are like really crucial for chipping away, moving really close towards that. So like writing is probably the most important one for me at the moment, trying to get those articles which then feed into my YouTube videos that I can make. So writing really is the crux of everything for me at the moment. Rule number 10 is challenge. And the whole thing with challenge is that, or at least as Dan explains it, and I want to agree with him, is that you need to hit the right level of challenge in things that you're doing. If you aim too high and are against too big of a challenge, you're going to become really disheartened and anxious basically, and you're not going to keep going with it. On the other hand, if you aim too low, you're going to become really bored and things are going to become repetitive, and you're not actually going to push yourself and learn anything. So you need to aim for that sweet spot. A number I've heard mentioned before, not from Dan but from somewhere else, is that you want to aim for about a 4%, somewhere like 4% just above your comfort zone, is sort of 4% above what you can do is a good level of challenge. Rule number 11 is curiosity. Obviously this ties in a lot with the education piece, but it's also to do with just staying curious about new things in your life and what you actually want to learn and what you want to do. So be open to experiencing other things other than what we've written down here today, for example. That's being curious and being open-minded might open up new avenues and might actually lead you to changing your vision and your goals and your anti-vision and your mission. Rule number 12 is experimentation, which ties in a lot with curiosity as well. You want to be able to test out, when you're experiencing new things and curiosity, you want to test out new ways of working and new ways of doing things. Don't always stick to what other people tell you to do. Like, for example, I've listened to a lot of people talk about how to write and how to make YouTube videos and all the rest of it. And honestly, I find that sometimes listening, just taking them at face value isn't the best way to do things, and you need to experiment, pick and choose bits that work for you and create your own system. Because if you just listen to someone else, honestly, I find that so disheartening, and you can put pressure on yourself to do things in a way that you don't like or don't find enjoyable or don't work for you. Find what works and don't be afraid to reinvent the wheel if it works for you. Anyway, those are Dan Koe's 12 rules to change your life. It's something I'm going to be really experimenting with over the next few months, I'd say, if not longer. So maybe I'll continue to make some like update videos, and I'll let you guys know how I'm getting on and how they work for me. And if they're working for me, hell, maybe you guys can try them out for yourselves and see if it works. I'll leave a link to Dan's video in the description, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for tuning in, friends, and see you soon. Bye.